only it looks like we have a few people, but
so it's possible that we'll get Stephanie in the audience. I hope Stephanie want to join the panel. There's an option for people to join us on the panel if they click that button. And Stephanie, if you hear this and you want to join the panel, we are happy to have you here. We'd love to have you here. And welcome to our Medium Day session. This is the second session that we've had. The first one was a blast this morning in networking, in the networking cafe, so to speak. I met Tony Stubblebine, networked with him for 10 minutes, and that was the most amazing. I've been flying high all day. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being in the audience. Thank the panelists. Thank all the writers and editors of MuddyUm. I have been on MuddyUm since, I'm Susan Brearley, the editor-in-chief of MuddyUm. I've been on Medium since 2016. I founded this humor and comedy publication in 2019 when I was tired of all the hate and anger in the world, and also the internet. And I tried to remember when the last belly laugh I had was, and I was hard pressed. And I remembered growing up, my dad used to sneak Mad magazines into the house. And I remember all the laughter that ensued. And I thought, I want that again. I'm making a choice here. I don't want to be angry anymore. I want to be surrounded by laughing, fun-loving, funny people. And that led me to humor and comedy writers. So making fun of Medium in a wordplay to start, Medium, MuddyUm. The publication was born. And so just under 4 years, I've handpicked a team of 15 volunteer editors, over 1,000 funny writers around the world. And we have a loyal readership. We are the fastest growing, most exciting, premier comedy place to be on Medium. Medium. We are influencers throughout the platform, and we know we are. We teach an editorial culture, and many of our editors go on then to run their own successful publications because we've trained them in our methods. We stay connected. We become family. We regularly run writers contests with big money prizes. We're getting ready to launch one this month and also for all the remaining months of 2023. We are in our second year of an internship program. Jade Marty's here. She was in the first round, the first summer of college internship program. This is for aspiring journalists, creative writers, comedy writers, and we've collectively published our first in a series of humor anthologies called Wouldn't You Rather Be Laughing through the nonprofit organization I founded, Garden of Neuro Institute, through by our publishing division. This we envision to be like the very first in a series, just like Chicken Soup for the Soul. This is all editor content here, but eventually, well, this year we'll have an open call to for submissions for MuddyUm writers to be part of the second one. And the idea, the way Chicken Soup for the Soul works, is you submit a piece and you get paid, and that's where we're going with Wouldn't You Rather Be Laughing? So this past May, our editorial team and some invited Medium writer guests gathered here in the Mid-Hudson Valley, New York, for the first of many writers' retreats to come. Tony Stubblebine apparently mentioned it in the recap. And we hope to meet many of you at our future events. They're going to be great. They're going to be big. They're going to be fabulous. The strength of Medium has been and continues to be the building of community. We here consider ourselves family now. So having said all that, we hope to have something fun to offer you here and can make you chuckle, because when it comes down to it, wouldn't you rather be laughing, Carol?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I write and edit for MuddyUm. Yes, yeah, I have a short story of my own, but I'm going to wait about how I got started writing humor and roped into being an editor for MuddyUm. Actually, I was highly honored. It was just a thrill to get to do that. And it's created a funny, functional family for me. And we want to be your funny, functional family for all of you writers. Hello there, Stephanie. Yay. So I'm a therapist, and maybe that's why I need to laugh a lot. So, and I do laugh at doing therapy, but there's a lot of tears too. So I'm a therapist, and I know that there are a lot of dysfunctional families out there, and that many of us came from one. I certainly did. And I also know that many writers and humor writers and comedians are from dysfunctional families. They'll tell you about it when they write, when they do. See, I know, me too, Susan. Stand up, a lot of stand ups based on people's dysfunctional families. So I want to know from my writers here on our panel, what brought you to MuddyUm to become part of our funny, functional family?
Hello.
What drove you to us?
Oh my God.
And you know what? Jump in, or I'll volunteer. Whichever one. All right, Gail.
Excuse me. I am new to MuddyUm, pretty new to actually humor writing, which is pretty new. But I bounced around a few publications on Medium, and I was looking for community. I was looking for that. We can hear you.
We can hear
I hear you, Stephanie. You're in, baby.
I was looking for that whole collaborative environment, which I found in MuddyUm, and also I wanted help with my writing. And it's like I published a piece or submitted a piece yesterday, and Gary Chafin spent hours with me, fine tuning the humor and the concept, and every suggestion he made, and it was always a polite suggestion, elevated my piece. I mean, I just learned so much from working with him in one session, and that's been my experience with the other editors on MuddyUm. So I feel like I'm at home. So I feel normal here.
Oh, I like that. We have created a family where all of us feel normal. I think that's greatness right there. Yeah, thank you, Gail. What about you, Eric? What brought you to us?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, the internet. I just looked up like, hey, what are the best comedy? Because I read about the different publications on Medium. Because I actually started on Medium. I mean, it was at least 5 or 6 years ago, but I didn't, I just didn't do much with it. Just kind of reposted things from my blog. And then I saw that, they were starting these things called publications. And that kind of intrigued me. And then I was like, I just looked at a list of the best comedy publications on Medium, and you guys were here.
Yay.
And so I tried a few of them, and then just naturally gravitated towards this one because it's more in line with my sense of humor, and I really liked getting like the feedback from the editors. It was very like helpful, and
that's
very always constructive. Never made me want to kill myself. So
thank God.
And feel like a failure,
I love that, Eric. And we're going to talk about this. I'll get to you in a second, Jaden. But we were going to talk about this, about how there are 15 of us. So if you get on and somebody's working with you and doesn't feel right, you can always ask for someone else. But the more important part of that is that we all have different kinds of humor, different senses of humor. So I actually edit Eric often because I love your humor. We connect on that level, and it's Eric's humor is way out there, but it's fabulous and funny, and then there are other people that will read something, I'm not going to say by Eric, but they'll read something by somebody and they'll say, oh, I don't get that. That doesn't sound funny. And so they'll send it. We have a place where we can send that to the other editors. And one of us will go, oh, that's hilarious. Let me take that. So yeah, it's one reason I think we're so good.
No, it's probably me, right?
It could be you, Eric.
In your example. Yeah.
Could be you. All right, Jaden, I know what brought you to us, but what keeps you here? You keep hanging out.
Somehow I just never left. Yeah, so I started as an intern last summer, and I really enjoyed my experience. And I mostly did the internship because I was promised a writing mentor. And I was familiar with the social media pages. So I was like, okay, in exchange for, running some programs and doing some graphic design, I get to have someone critique my funny writing. And previously, I've never been in a space where I was able to write funny, like, in school and everything, you're just supposed to be writing essays, and there's not a whole lot of humor in that. So I really wanted to discover sort of how to write funny and what that entailed. And I remember, aside from getting a writing mentor, MuddyUm sent me 3 books on how to write funny. I forgot who published it, but they're like, can you give your address? I was like, why?
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, I got 3 how to write funny books that has been really helpful to me. And I basically stayed on because I loved working with everybody. I felt like all the editors were so sweet and they were so genuine. And like Eric said, they were very helpful in making suggestions, but not critiquing your work. Or like if they didn't understand something, that somebody else would be like, no, I totally understood like what you meant. And overall, it's just been like, it's such a fun experience. And every time I go on the website, like I'm so excited to read things. I'm so excited to publish stuff because I know like it won't be received badly by anyone. They're just gonna be like, oh, like, cool, you wrote something. Congratulations. And it feels like so good, just to be on the site and have this group of people hype you up because we would all rather be laughing. So
Yes.
I love that, Jada.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think that also points out, I was pointing out how all the others have different kinds of humor, senses of humor. And also we're a very welcoming platform for people of all ages. So there are other platforms, not humor ones, but, others that are geared towards certain age groups. But we really love the diversity here, and we really promote that a lot. So thank you for that, Jaden, and for being here today. This is great. Well, my next question is, why did you ever choose to write humor in the first place? Because it's quite the challenge. Any takers on that? Yes.
Eric, do you want to go out? I just
No.
hate that pause. I just can't stand that.
I do too. I was going to tell my story if nobody spoke up. But
okay, no, Carol, no, you go. Please go.
Well, mine's real short. Mine's real short and sweet. I got on in 2018, I think, to write humor. That was my goal. I'd written serious my whole life, and I think I'm funny. So I was like, hey, if I'm funny in person, I should be able to put it on paper. I'm a writer. And so I got started, and I barely started. It must have been earlier than that, because it was right after Trump was elected, and then he appointed Kavanaugh. And I was like, damn it, I've got to have to write serious. I can't. I have to address this. It's really breaking my heart. So I spent the first year probably writing, political, social justice, all serious stuff. And then finally I said, I've got to write humor. It's what I came on to do. And I started doing it, and I never published anywhere. I didn't publish in the other humor pubs. I just posted my own. And then I was reading somebody else, James Knight, and he was talking about, or he was posting on MuddyUm. And I said, oh my God, how do I get on? And he goes, oh, you just email Susan Brearley. So I did, and she responded immediately. And then we started messaging, and I felt like I had been, touched with a magic wand. And so that's how I got into really writing humor. And just like you guys, before I became an editor, and even now, we edit each other, by the way, the editors do. So even now, they improve my writing every single time I write. So it's pretty exciting. So now, Gail, what got you into writing humor?
Well, the dog just got going. Well, I've done a lot of other kind of really dry writing. Like right now, I do a lot of copywriting. I'm telling you, that is incredibly boring. And then I tried writing a few different things on Medium, which I also enjoy that kind of writing. And I used to write narration for a documentary. But I think, what happened was I immigrated to the U.S. in 2016 when Mr. O was president, thinking, wow, there is hope for this country. And then 2016 happened, and I thought, well, how am I going to navigate this one? And as we all know, writing humor is a great way to navigate stress, pain, you know, this crazy world of the absurd that we live in. And it's just a way to just kind of tweak what you're looking at in the world and see it from another point of view where it's not quite so overwhelming.
Amen to that. I do the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I was just like kind of, I don't know, a weird kid and loved to watch comedy, and you know, it was just quote SNL sketches to my friends, and then they just kind of thought I was annoying. And I graduated with a philosophy degree, and you know, there's not much you can do with that except like maybe become a writer. And I always wanted to, you know, I thought like, hey, you know, you can kind of talk yourself out of like thinking into thinking like, you know, like there's a certain type of people who could become writers. They graduated from Harvard, and they, you know,
Right.
they're in the old boys network, whatever.
Mhm.
But you know, and then you realize, well, you know, they're just like somebody who, you know, wrote something and applied and got a job, and so that was kind of like, you know, my intro to like, you know, gradually taking these steps to do this. I mean, it was a long thing because you know, I did some writers conferences, like I don't know, like those are, I don't know how you guys feel about those, but I don't
I
know, they
like
was kind of like yeah, I mean, it probably depends on the ones you go to. 'Cause
Well,
some
our
of
MuddyUm
them can
one,
be scams.
our MuddyUm one is priceless. It's just as funny
Yeah,
in
no,
real life as it is. You know, it's hilarious. Actually, we had a great time. So come to that.
yeah, okay, so,
The next MuddyUm
yeah,
Writers
no,
Retreat, you will love it. Yes.
all right,
So, well,
and
I'm glad. I'm glad
yeah,
that you
no,
are
I mean,
writing.
eventually I got there.
Yeah, and then you found us on the internet. So there you go.
Yeah.
How about you, Jane? You said you wanted a place to write humor, and so you're young. When did you start thinking about writing humor?
I think I started writing humor in 7th grade with poetry, because I hated the stereotype of poetry always being about like this deep emotional, you know, and obviously like that's a great way to express yourself. But I would usually take poetry prompts and turn them into like the most unrealistic, like love stories about air conditioners, or you know, just like quirky, relatable, whimsical things that rhymed. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I switched to other types of poetry. And then I thought, you know, I wanted to actually flesh out those poems into more than like 8 lines. You know, what if there was a whole paragraph? So when I was looking for a career day for internships and I saw MuddyUm and I researched them, I was like, oh, like you're just supposed to be funny? I can do that. So I definitely love, like, I just wanted to try out the format, you know, and I feel like there's not, I didn't know how to go about it at all. I just kind of started writing and just, you know, picking a topic that I thought was funny from my life, and my life is hilarious in so many ways. So I was like, oh,
I will second that. Yes, it is.
yeah. And sometimes like you just, you know, I sneeze and I throw out my back. I wrote about that because I was like, it's, you know, it was funny because I'm okay. I'm fine. So I wanted to explore that sort of long format from 7th grade, and I really enjoyed it. And I've since done some script writing, some humor script writing. And like Eric said, I also watched a lot of comedies and sitcoms growing up. I would have appreciated your SNL quotes and things, Eric, because I would have 100% been on board.
Well, that makes one person.
Well, you know, that's what it's about, though. That's exactly what it's about, Eric. It's finding your tribe, and you know, cliche or no, that's what we're providing and keeping on providing for people on MuddyUm. And I mean, I felt that way. I actually wrote a story. You guys can look it up, but it wasn't on MuddyUm. But I wrote a story that said I didn't come to Medium to get a posse, a group therapy, or friends, and I got all 3 because you know, I really didn't. I got on to just write. I just wanted to throw shit up. I'm sorry I said that bad word. I just wanted to throw stuff out in the universe. And I didn't want to interact. I didn't want anybody telling me what they thought about it. I just want to write. And then I got pulled in, you know, by Susan, and Yael Wolf is another one. And, you know, I started, and then I went to the retreat, made real friends. So you can actually make real friends on Medium. I'll come see you, Eric, next time I'm in LA. So
All right. Sounds good.
I've met several writers. It's a lot of fun.
Stephanie, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yay! We need your sounds, your sound effects, Eric, of the ta-da, ta-da.
I had
All right.
I'm so happy. Our one of our featured cartoonists, she's so funny, and her writing and her cartoons. And at the retreat, she taught us all how to do cartooning. And
so fun.
Carol, what was that question you were asking? What brought you to MuddyUm? What do you love about MuddyUm? Why are you here?
Yeah, why did
you hear your answer? I want to hear, because I know you're going to make me cry.
Why did you choose us as your funny functional family?
I can't remember all the way back to how I got giant stars in my eyes for the MuddyUm Pub, but I just was like, oh, if I could get accepted there, I would be so happy. And I got accepted, and then I just like fainted with happiness. And I look back on my early submissions, and I looked at the editor's notes, and I got teary-eyed. The thing about MuddyUm, it's so true. The editors here are extremely generous. And when I say extremely, I mean, you writers know it, but sometimes some of them just go through so much effort to give advice and guidance. And when that happened to me early on, not knowing much about humor writing, I was hooked. And it really felt like you were being invited into the family, into the tribe. And, you know, it encourages you to want to be better because these guys are on your team. And, you know, talking about humor as a strategy to deal with the hardship of life, positive humor is effective. Negative humor, punching down, isn't so much. Right. And this is a publication of positive humor. So you've got these generous people, positive humor ethos, and you just want to do everything you can. So did you cry, Susan?
Yeah. Keep going.
Well, I wanted to say the retreat.
I thought you were going to say something about snow crabs, but so Stephanie says, I want to go to the retreat. I want to come early. I want to be helpful. I'm like, yes, because I'm cooking food for everybody because I'm a kick-ass chef. I was told after the retreat that it was like Michelin 5-star food, and which I appreciated because it was.
I'm backing her up on that one too. Yeah, better.
And so Stephanie comes and she goes. She goes, I want to come early and help you. And I'm like, great, I can use all the help I can get. And so I said, we're gonna have this opening buffet. It's gonna be really nice. And we have snow crab legs. And we're not gonna make everybody like sit there and like, you know, the snow crabs. We're gonna crack the snow crabs open and we're gonna pull the snow crab out and we're gonna have a nice, beautiful dish of snow crab for everybody to put onto their plate. Said, I'm in, I'll help you. And so we get the snow crabs and we're cracking and we're pulling and we're talking and we're
pulling with a device that is this skinny.
And 45 minutes into the job, Stephanie looks at me with the biggest smile on her face and says, you know what, Susan? After we're done here, I am never doing this ever.
Okay, and I have to say, Stephanie is that person too. I mean, she's never going to be like I could be, like throwing things and cussing. She's just like, oh, this was so nice, but I will never do it again. All right, listen, we do have another question, but also I want to address something I see on here, Susan. Patricia Jean said, I appreciate that 2 of my pieces were rejected. And I think it would be good to address that. You know, I had a couple that were, I don't know that I got rejected. I think at one point, Susan had told them to publish anything I sent in, I can't remember who told me that, but one of the older editors. And, but what I did have was I had somebody say to me, okay, that's not funny. And I appreciated it. It made me mad at the beginning. I was like, what? But then it was like, you know what? It isn't funny enough. And I want it to be better. And so I was pretty excited about that. And then also, Susan talked about this at the beginning, Patricia, and she'll probably talk about it again. But we also, Patricia says, I'm serious. They sucked and saved me from being embarrassed. I love that. I love that. Well, the other thing we do is we send you to our sister publication, Contemplate. So, we're going to take care of you one way or the other. We really do want to nurture our people in that way. So thank you. Yeah. So I want to know, well, you've all said this, though. You've already told us what you like about working with us, the MuddyUm editors. So I guess, part of it is, what keeps you going writing humor? What keeps you going writing for MuddyUm? And jump right in. Eric.
Keeps me going. I'm probably not a good person to ask at this moment because I'm not taking a break from writing, but I haven't published anything on MuddyUm in a couple of weeks because I've actually been working on a book.
All right.
So.
We like that. We want our people working on books.
It's a good point though. You can have a funny run where you've got a lot of things funny to say, and then you go for a while and you don't feel funny, and we all go through that. And you don't have to consider that your writing in humor is over. It's just that nothing touched you right at the moment. It is. We all have that. It happens for me too, and so. You can take a break, and it's okay to be a writer and take a break.
Yes.
And come back. It's quite all right.
And, I don't have a niche, guys. I write humor, but I started out, as I said earlier, writing political and social justice. I'm on and injustice quite a bit. So, sometimes you're just not funny, and it's okay to write other things for a while. I just try to always keep writing, though. And then, MuddyUm helps me because I am an editor, so I have interaction with those people a lot. And it's just inspiring. I mean, to read their work and then to hear them talk in an editor meeting, it inspires. I come up with topics just doing that. Mm-hmm. So that's helpful.
So when you're in a writing slump, just keep reading. Keep reading because writers need readers too.
That's exactly right. What about anybody else want to answer that? We have about 3 minutes.
Susan, that was helpful when you said that before, maybe in a MudEditors meeting. Sometimes you feel funny and sometimes you feel serious. And that was so helpful for me. And since that time, I've noticed, it's this wave. And every week I do one MuddyUm, one Age of Empathy post. And sometimes I'm struggling with the one or struggling with the other, but I'll get a ton of ideas. I'm like, oh my God, I have all these humor ideas, and then nothing. And oh my God, I have all these serious ideas, and then nothing. And so, stock them up.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. Anybody else on that one? What keeps you going? What motivates you?
Yeah, I can also add, I agree with Stephanie. Like, I'll have waves where I'll, sit down one week and be like, okay, what was something funny that happened to me recently? And then I'll write about that. Especially maybe if I'm not feeling very funny, I'll appreciate something that happened or a conversation that I had or something within hindsight was just hilarious to me. Like my mom and I are fighting over these cups that I leave all over the place. So I wrote about the Battle of the Red Cups when I was in college.
Yes, that was an amazing article too.
She was like, and after all that, you still do it. I don't understand.
Anybody that's not following Jade and Marty, you gotta go follow her. She doesn't have a huge body of work out there because she's still a college student. And when we took her on as an intern, we said your number one priority are your studies, and so don't let this internship interfere with your work. And that's one of the conditions for the college interns that we take on. And the guy, though, that we have for this summer, he is a journalist. And when we brought him on, and I proposed to him that you could write funny, he was very intrigued. And he actually has done okay. And so much so that he wants to continue on with us through the fall. And I've said the same thing. Don't let this work interfere with your studies. But so Jaden doesn't have a lot out there, but everything she has is quality and hilarious.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? We're going to wind up running out of time here, Susan. And you might have something else you want to say. And
it won't knock us off. And when we did our first session,
good.
When we did our first session at 4:30. Sorry, I
kept you on
an ice cube. When we stayed after, and we said, "This is the MuddyUm Medium Marathon. We will be here as long as we have audience." And we went for at least another 15 minutes. Apparently, the technology doesn't bounce you off if you keep going, and so we went into overtime and we told funny stories and entertained people as long as they wanted to stay. So don't worry, keep going, Carol.
I love it. We can make a telephone.
This is the MuddyUm way. We're a bunch of pirates.
So here it's Stephanie is
wearing our
pirate patch and
the after party in the green room.
Yeah, we are pirates. I don't.
There she goes.
Quite figured out why pirates and money goes together, but yeah, we are pirates, and Susan is our captain, and she sails a fine ship.
Yes,
love it.
Yes. Arg, meaty. Yes, that's right, guys.
All I've got's a lizard. I don't.
Everybody pirate out.
Okay, I want to hear what your favorite stories are. I want to thank everybody who is here. There are a couple of people who decided to leave. I don't know why they would, but they did. And so they're going to miss all the good stuff. This is on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any place where better books are sold. Wouldn't you rather be laughing? I want to ask the crew here what your favorite stories were from. So there's three of us here who went to the writers' retreat, and you want to definitely sign up at MuddyUm.org to be kept informed about the next retreat. It's going to be great. But do you have favorite stories about things that happen at the writers' retreat? Because we're going to have more of those.
Oh, wow.
And also, by the way, before you answer that question,
so many.
I just want to say that we also are talking about, we've already started talking about having a hop-in type event, an event like this, a one-day event, online conference using this technology, because we do have at the Institute, we do have a hop-in hosting account. So we're envisioning a comedy day, a humor and comedy Writer's Day, just like this, that Medium's done. It might not be like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That seems a little excessive for comedy.
Not today. It went fast for me.
But I mean, who knows? We'll see who wants to come. And then I think that'll be a really nice segue into the next live writers retreat. So I think people have a lot to share. I think it'll be a great session. We'll get that going and we'll let you know, but sign up at MuddyUm.org to keep informed about that. So stories from the writers retreat, Carol.
Well, I've got one. I've got a couple actually, but it kind of segues here because Stephanie taught us how to draw cartoons. Not that some of us were very good at it, but she gave us a whole demonstration on making cartoons, and it was just wonderful. We all enjoyed that so much. It was a total break from, kind of our typical writing information we were giving and getting. So that was just a blast. And I'm still no good at it, but it was really fun. So thank you for that, Stephanie. And then the other story I've got is, I have two more, golly. I have one about, I shared a bathroom with Gary Chapin. Are you on here, Gary? I'm going to tell on you. And
tell.
I got up one morning and I went into the bathroom and I looked down at the toilet and the lid was up, the other part was down, but it was down on top of some earphones. So somehow Gary had lifted it, gone to the bathroom, dropped his earphones across the toilet, put the lid down, and they were just stuck there. So that was kind of crazy.
He wrote a story. He went on to write a story about his dad peeing.
Yes, and how he leaned against the wall, but
Yeah.
he forgot to put that part in. That's why I had to tell the story. He left that.
He also used that story in. We had it was just a joke. We were looking for ideas of workshops and things we could do at the retreat, and Andrew Rodwin, who's kind of like my number one guy from a tech standpoint, he had this worksheet, and somebody said, let's have a Quaker service, a Quaker comedy service on Sunday morning, which we then did. And I thought it was a great idea. Everybody else didn't know how it was going to go, but it turned out to be just hilarious. And Gary told this story about getting up in the middle of the night using the bathroom, how it reminded him of his father and connected him with his father.
No, but he kept leaving out the part about the earphones. So yeah, that Quaker event was wonderful. Nobody really understood what we were going to do, but what I loved about that, Susan, was we sat in quiet, and then when somebody had something funny, anything funny they wanted to share, they stepped and shared it, but there was no crosstalk. And if you have seen how this worked today and try to imagine that all of us not cross-talking, it was incredibly difficult and a lot of good discipline. So I get why Quakers do it now.
Yeah, it's a deliberative conversation. It's the style that we teach in the Institute, in the Gardner Neuro Institute. Stephanie, did you have a story?
I did. What was the movie that we watched? I didn't really
watch
it.
The Fly. The Steve Goldberg. So Pajama Party.
Rebecca's like The Fly.
MST3K style. The Fly.
Well, if you had seen the movie already, that would have been beneficial to you if you were at the retreat, because you wouldn't have been able to hear any of it, because the idea, was it Carol's idea?
No, I'm pointing about how loud I am. I'd laugh.
Oh my gosh. I brought my laptop to get some cartoons done, which I do. Like, my husband watches TV and I do my cartoons at night. And it's super fun. So like, all right, they're going to watch a movie. I always want to get stuff done, so I don't want to waste my time watching a movie. And I'm sitting there with Gary and Andrew and I think Tony's husband, and we're just looking at each other like, oh my gosh, because there was this whole peanut gallery that was yelling at the TV about how stupid this scene was or that scene, and that was the point. And anyway, I have hearing damage from it, so that's what I have to say.
It was
what?
So
what?
There were three of us on the end that were probably the loudest. We were.
Yeah, for sure.
Eric and Gail and Jaden, based on all of this, are you thinking you want to come to the next retreat, or you want to avoid it at all costs?
I'll avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. Sounds pretty scary, and I don't want to be put in those crab legs.
Yeah, I'm actually allergic to all shellfish.
All shellfish, yeah.
Well, no, it sounds great. I just need a babysitter for 22 sheep and 3 dogs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, line that up early.
Can I bring them? Can I bring them along to the retreat?
That's a lot of room.
I would like to draw them.
How will you transport them? Where would we put them?
Room? You've got
Stephanie. I feel a
put them in
cartoon.
your yurts. Yeah, you can put them in the yurts.
Or here's a thought: we could all go to Gail's house for our
Yes, a retreat in the high desert. Come on down. Come on up. Actually, I'm in the mountains.
All right, works for me.
You determine. Did you have anything in closing? Did anybody have final words that they wanted to share to people who are thinking about writing comedy, thinking about writing humor, don't think they're funny enough?
Just do it.
Go for it. Do it.
I'll just say one thing, what I found about writing humor. If I just take what's running through my head and put it on paper, it stays funny. If I try and run it through all the filters and figure out, is this funny? Should I do this? Should I do that? It loses its punch. So just as soon as that thought runs in, write it down.
Yeah. Exactly, Gail. I was thinking that same thing. Like, how do you write humor? As long as you think stuff is funny in the world, like you giggle, it's silly, you laugh, then put that on the page. If you think
Yeah.
if you think stuff is funny, then I feel like you could write it. It's just you have to figure out how to. These guys will teach you. They're still teaching me how to write funny, and it's the skill. So.
Oh my
You are
gosh, Stephanie,
funny.
you're brilliant. You're brilliant. Well, I agree with Eric and Gail on that too. Just whatever's in your head, put it down. I have crazy, stupid, funny thoughts all the time. So I jot them down. I'm going to start recording, but that's really the trick. And then when I start writing, even then though, Gail, when I start writing, it comes out dull. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But working with the MuddyUm editors, I've learned how to punch it up. I've learned how to go in and where to add some jokes and where to tie it together. And, so they really have helped with that. And the stream of consciousness, go for it. And then we'll help you, pull it together if you need us to.
And you really do. You really, really do. Learned a lot with you guys.
That's great.
And I would just say that it's funny what happens, what people think is funny. A lot of people think, oh, comedy humor, it doesn't get boosted, but we are finding lots of pieces that are getting boosted with MuddyUm. And here's one I just dropped in the chat by Kendra Sparkles. She's one of our editors, by the way. I wasn't panhandling, officer. I forgot my Aldi quarter.
Oh, yeah, that was so funny.
It was a really hilarious piece. And it's really all based upon some just really the funniest things. Like, we all go grocery shopping, and if there's carts and quarters, there's going to be some funny something that's going to happen. And she took the absolute everyday and turned it into a funny story. And that thing got boosted, and it did very well performed very well for her. So our job at MuddyUm is to help people find the funny. We have this very strong editorial culture. We're happy to work with our writers. We'll be honest with you. There's 15 of us. So if one of us doesn't find something funny, we pass it over to the next person and to see who might find it funny. Now, if there's 15 of us and all of us can't find a giggle, you
might be in trouble.
You thought you might be in trouble. We might have to send it back, but that's okay. Like so many people in the chat have said, that it can save you from embarrassment. And we also have sister publications for pieces that are well written and are a little bit more serious. We can get you published in some of those as well. Anything else? Anybody like to add?
Yeah, I can add to that real quick. I also love how fast your turnaround is. Like, from the time I put something in the queue to the time it's actually published, it's like a day, 2 days, like tops, which compared to other publications just isn't like the thing. And especially for humor writing, like sometimes things are funny because it's so relevant. Like, like you're bouncing off of what's going on in the world right now. And if it was published 2 weeks later, then it kind of loses its funniness. So, which I don't think is a word, but
really appreciate that, Jaden. Really appreciate that, because that is so true. We like to stay on top of things. We like to get it out there really fast. And if you have something that's really relevant to what's happening in the moment, you can get on our Slack channel and let us know. It's like, this needs to go out ASAP because it's about this event.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Jaden. I had almost forgotten. In the early days of MuddyUm, one of my founding tenets was, because I was tired of waiting around for a week or two to get published, or for a publication to come back to me and say, I'm sorry, this isn't for us. And so I have to wait 2 weeks just to find out. And it's like, no, our editors are all trained to be in that queue and take turns looking for things and to get the things. We want to at least start the editing work in the first day, so that the thing isn't sitting there and people are wondering. So thank you for bringing that up. I had almost forgotten that was a thing.
Yeah,
because
that's so normal. One of our editors, Kent Jones, mentioned that in the last meeting. He said we need to talk about how we publish so fast. So thank you, Jaden. That's extremely important. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so happy that you mentioned that. Yeah. So, what else?
Well, Patricia has a question. Patricia said, how do I know when to take a breath? Some of my stuff can sound manic. Manic is very funny. Don't worry about that. I mean, good grief, we've got some writers who write very manic, and so just put it out there. And then if we think it's too manic, we'll tell you where to take a breath. We'll say, hey, you might want to break this paragraph up, or you might want to move this paragraph to another part of the story, or we have all kinds of things we can help you with that. But sure, throw that manic stuff out there, please.
Yeah, and so you'll see on the front page, if you're on the computer, you look at the front page of MuddyUm, you'll see that there's a wide variety of topics that we cover out there. Also, one of the things we feature is we'll give a special tab, 2 special tabs per month, and feature a writer who we think should have an omnibus. And once we build that tab and that omnibus for that writer, they never go away. That's forever, unless Medium changes their technology. So so that you can have a link to all the things that you've ever published on MuddyUm. So that's the thing when we find somebody who we say we started with the editors, and once we get through all the editors, we're going to go out and tap on the writers and say, hey, would you like a tab? Would you like to have a featured tab?
That's
so
cool.
Expect to see that in the future. And our contest, the next contest, Gary Chapin, our editor, Gary Chapin, will be announcing that'll end on Labor Day. And then I'll have a series of contests that I'm going to be announcing September, October, November, December. There'll be writing contests. They will be based on T. Kent Jones writes a writer's prompt once a month for us through channeling the voice of Kronos, the god Kronos, who gives us all our writing prompts and very funny directives. And so the people there'll be a couple of metrics for that contest, but the prizes will be $100 for the first prize, $50 and $25 for the third prize. And editors aren't eligible, but the writers are, and they will revolve around those writing prompts that Kronos publishes in his pieces. And they usually come out a few days before the first of the month. So watch for that.
If you're having a dry spell, or if whatever's going on, like you're working on your book, Eric, but if you want to dash off something, looking at those writers' prompts that Kent Jones puts up, it makes it so easy. And they're so funny, and they're real. These are like, he writes National Hot Dog Day, and I can't even think of the funny ones. Maybe you or Stephanie or Susan can, but they're just hilarious. And I always go in and pick a couple that I can put together and make something funny out of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of prompts, but just this whole idea of it's a national so-and-so month or such a such day can be pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, I have National Lizard Day coming out on Monday. Yep.
Oh, man. Oh, lizard.
Like, what the heck, National Lizard Day?
I'll have to write one and take a picture. And
Oh, yes.
he could be my.
So there you go. And so for those of us who are thinking, I don't have nothing funny in my life, Kronos has a full range of ideas for you to find something funny.
Yeah.
Maybe Kronos was a Titan. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know about Kronos?
He's the god of time, according to
I'm not a Kronos expert.
like the god of time.
I thought he was God, yeah.
Look at
I think he's
guys, the after party. We still have 29 people. We still have 29.
Oh wow!
We love you.
I feel so popular.
Who's got questions out there?
We do.
You have some questions for us. Ask us questions.
Let's see.
Yeah. After party's always good.
Somebody asked about the Facebook group. I don't know. If
Yeah.
Oh,
I put it up there, the Outlaws, MuddyUm Outlaws.
Yes.
And
And somebody
Susan.
asked if it was really, he said, have I been missing out? Ben's asking, have I been missing out? And then he asked about the MuddyUm Sister Pub. And
Okay, so that's something. That's a thing.
That out there.
That's a
Rebecca's so
thing.
good. Yeah.
Writers. So if you ask to become a writer, we bring you on as a writer, and then you have access. We bring you into our top secret Tree Fort pirate ship secret MuddyUm group on Facebook. It's called the MuddyUm Outlaws. And so then you get invited to that. And then you also get invited to our Slack our Slack group. And so we have a full out Slack group, and like literally all day long we have been slacking. Like we all have been slacking to each other. The editors have all been. One of the reasons that we didn't fumble with this technology today is we started talking in Slack about how to use this technology last week. And we've been practicing all week, but then also we take to Slack and any findings that because the technology was not linear. The breadcrumbs to figure this stuff out was not linear. And so people would find stuff out and share it on Slack. So Slack is a really powerful tool that we use as a team. And then Ronnie says, how did you come up with the name MuddyUm? So MuddyUm is a word play on medium. Muddy, meaty, muddy, medium, MuddyUm. Get it? Uh-huh. So funny. Yeah.
It is funny. I love it. I freaking love it.
That's where we
Yeah, there was a moment in time when you talked about maybe not, maybe changing the name, and I was like, oh no,
we did think about changing its name.
That's a great name.
Yes, How to Write Funny by Scott Dickers. So Scott Dickers was one of the original editors of The Onion. You may have heard of The Onion, famous satire publication. And I'm friends with Scott, and I went through his comedy business school, comedy writing school. When we were initially, the retreat we had in May was our first one, but it wasn't before.
Oh no, are they coming up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
So we had planned one for the year before, and we called it Comedy Camp. And Scott was going to come. Roz Warren was going to come. A whole bunch of people were going to come. And we couldn't go. Oh, Michelle has to go make dinner. And that sounds boring. Okay. And so we until we Mudditors get our book published about how to write funny, we send our interns copies of Scott Dickers' How to Write Funny books.
Hayden mentioned that, Susan. I don't know if you were on or not, but Hayden mentioned that you sent her 3 books. So yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of books. We sent 3.
Yeah.
And it helps our interns get jump started on writing funny.
I want to say that is most definitely what Susan's just talked about, is definitely what makes MuddyUm different. I do write for a lot of other places, and I'm on a Slack channel with Sexography, another place I write, but we don't talk that much back and forth, and we do on our Slack channel. So, MuddyUm really gives you the Slack channel you can join, the Facebook group you can join, you can message us on Facebook, you can message us on Slack. So, there's all kinds of ways to get in touch with editors and with Susan. And it's, to me, that's what makes another thing that makes us really, really different. And I love about us. Mm. So yeah, please join as a matter of fact, Susan, I don't know if you're going to put it back up there, but there is a button that we've been putting up occasionally during this that says click to join. And you can, when you click that, yes, you can join you can join everything we do, and we'll have your information. We can reach out to you. We'll send you all the information on the retreats, everything. So, Jennifer says she joined. Yay. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know, Susan, if you can still hear me and you can put that link back up, that would be cool. Or Rebecca, you can do
every
it.
single time it was put up, I clicked it. I don't know.
That's keep joining.
Yeah, I know. Just in case it didn't. The past year just didn't count.
I love it. I love that. No worries at all. So, Eric, that is your mission, should you choose to accept it when you get off of here, is to click and join everything MuddyUm. All things MuddyUm all the time. Because we want you, and you're a good messenger. Eric and I message a lot on Messenger. So he's really good at that, and he's funny. He's funny there. He's as funny there as he is everywhere else. So yeah, jump on and be funny with all of us. We'd love that.
Where's the prompt again, or the
hoping she was going to put it back up. It was a little button that kept showing up and hiding my face.
Yeah, I saw it. I just kept clearing it because I was like, oh, I'm already here though.
Yeah, I'm going to see if Rebecca will post it in the chat.
Is that for MuddyUm.org?
It is. It's for the page that you created.
Yeah. You could go to MuddyUm.org and www.MuddyUm.org. And there's what's the name of the page? Join MuddyUm. I forgot. I made the page, but I forgot what I called it.
Right.
It's called something.
I know. I can't remember either. But it basically says, "Wouldn't you rather be laughing, join?" Oh, there it is. Rebecca just chat.
Join the community. Right. That's a good name.
Yeah, that was a great name. Now we could change it to join our funny dysfunctional. Oh, dysfunctional, funny functional family.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I too am gonna step away, I think, although we still have 23 people in, which is very exciting.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yes. Just thrilled.
This was nice.
Oh, look, and Meg Stewart put it up there for us too. Thank you, Meg. I saw you earlier today. I dropped in on your session.
Bye, Bob.
See you at the rave.
All right, guys. It was wonderful. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for asking me to join.
Oh,
Thanks everybody who showed up.
Yeah, and thank you all of Eric, Jaden, and Gail and Stephanie for agreeing to do this. This made it totally effortless and painless for me. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Carol.
That's very fun. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
See ya.
Later.